Narendra Modi emphasizes sustainable urbanization, asserts cities performed well in India's hour of crisis. BRICS nations finalize counter-terrorism strategy. Prime Minister Modi calls for holding countries supporting terrorists guilty, underscores need for reforms in multilateral institutions including UN Security Council. New education policy aimed at making India a global superpower in the field of knowledge, says Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu, emphasizes need to make youth job creators instead of job seekers. Nitish Kumar cabinet holds first meeting, decides to hold first session of new Bihar Assembly from the 23rd to the 27th of November. India's daily coronavirus cases go below 30,000. Amid rising cases, Delhi to increase health facilities, ramp up testing capacity to a 1 lakh daily. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday asserted that the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic showed the world that cities, which are also growth engines, are the most vulnerable. Addressing the Bloomberg New Economy Forum, he added, COVID-19 has given us an opportunity to reset before restart. Talking about COVID-19 lockdown, Prime Minister maintained that lockdown faced resistance across the world, but Indian cities abided by lockdown rules.
During the lockdown, many cities saw cleaner lakes and rivers, as well as cleaner air. So many of us saw the chirping of birds we never noticed before. Can we not build sustainable cities where these features are the norm and not the exception?
Well, the Prime Minister said the Make in India push had led to development of tremendous indigenous capacity for production of transportation systems. He added it is going to help push the sustainable transport goals in a big way.
Our Make in India push had led to development of tremendous indigenous capacity for production of transportation systems. It is going to help us push our sustainable transport goals in a big way. Looking at the conditions created by the pandemic, we also introduced an affordable rental housing initiative. We created the Real Estate Regulation Act. This has transformed the dynamics of the real estate sector. Also, this has made it more customer-oriented and transparent.
But in his speech, the Prime Minister noted that COVID-19 has given governments the chance to accelerate the process of making cities more livable for people.
We are looking at a future where a major chunk of education, healthcare, shopping, food experiences may happen online. Our cities need to be ready for the convergence of the physical and digital worlds. Our programs, Digital India and Startup India missions are helping create capacities toward this. We have selected 100 smart cities through 2-stage processes. It was a nationwide competition upholding the philosophy of cooperative and competitive federalism.
Meanwhile, in a major breakthrough, the BRICS summit on Tuesday finalized a counter-terrorism strategy. The summit was attended by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and heads of member nations. Here's more.
In his address at the BRICS summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi asserted that terrorism is the biggest problem facing the world. In an oblique reference to Pakistan, the Prime Minister called for action against countries assisting terrorists. He further underscored the need to tackle terrorism in an organized manner.
आतंकवाद आज विश्व के सामने सबसे बड़ी समस्या है। हमें यह सुनिश्चित करना होगा कि आतंकवादियों को समर्थन और सहायता देने वाले देशों को भी दोषी ठहराया जाए और इस समस्या का संगठित तरीके से मुकाबला किया जाए। हमें खुशी है कि रूस की अध्यक्षता के दौरान ब्रिक्स काउंटर टेररिज्म स्ट्रेटेजी को अंतिम रूप दे दिया गया है। यह एक महत्वपूर्ण उपलब्धि है और भारत इस कार्य को अपनी अध्यक्षता के दौरान और आगे बढ़ाएगा।
The Prime Minister also emphasized the need to reform not only the United Nations Security Council, but also multilateral bodies like the World Trade Organization and the International Monetary Fund.
ग्लोबल गवर्नेंस के संस्थानों की क्रेडिबिलिटी और इफेक्टिवनेस दोनों पर ही सवाल उठ रहे हैं। इसका प्रमुख कारण यह है कि इनमें समय के साथ उचित बदलाव नहीं आया। भारत का मानना है कि यूएन सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल में रिफॉर्म्स बहुत ही अनिवार्य है। इस विषय पर हमें अपने ब्रिक्स पार्टनर्स के समर्थन की अपेक्षा है। यूएन के अतिरिक्त कई अन्य अंतर्राष्ट्रीय संस्थाएं भी वर्तमान वास्तविकताओं के अनुसार काम नहीं कर रहे हैं।
The Prime Minister pointed out that 42% of the world's population, BRICS nations have a key role in determining global growth in the post-COVID-19 world.
कोविड के बाद की वैश्विक रिकवरी में ब्रिक्स इकोनॉमीज की अहम भूमिका होगी। हमारे बीच विश्व की 42%, 42% से अधिक आबादी बसती है और हमारे देश ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी के मुख्य इंजन में से है। ब्रिक्स देशों के बीच आपसी व्यापार बढ़ाने का बहुत स्कोप है। हमारे आपसी संस्थाएं और सिस्टम्स जैसे ब्रिक्स, इंटरबैंक कोऑपरेशन मैकेनिज्म, न्यू डेवलपमेंट बैंक, कंटिजेंट रिजर्व अरेंजमेंट और कस्टम्स कोऑपरेशन आदि भी वैश्विक रिकवरी में हमारे योगदान को इफेक्टिव बना सकते हैं।
The 12th BRICS summit was hosted by Russian President Vladimir Putin. The virtual summit was also attended by Chinese President Xi Jinping, Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro, and South African President Cyril Ramaphosa. The theme for the summit this year was global stability, shared security, and innovative growth.
Well, the 15th Finance Commission on Tuesday presented its report for the 2021-22 to 2025-26 to finance report to the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Now, the report titled Finance Commission in COVID Times deals with the ratio in which the taxes are to be divided between the centre and the states in the upcoming 5 years. The Finance Minister will table the report in Parliament along with an action taken report of the government. The chairman and members of the commission submitted the report to Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday. The report was finalized after wide-ranging consultations with the union and state governments, chairman and member of previous finance commissions, among others. Well, the Parliamentary Committee on Health and Family Welfare adopted the 123rd and 124th draft reports at its meeting on Tuesday. The panel also heard from the Secretary, Department of Health Research on the Assisted Reproduction Technology Regulation Bill 2020. Here are the details.
The Assisted Reproductive Technology Regulation Bill 2020 was introduced in Lok Sabha on September 14, 2020. It seeks to provide for the regulation of assisted reproductive technology services in the country. The bill provides that every assisted reproductive technology clinic and bank must be registered under the National Registry of Banks and Clinics of India. The National Registry will be established under the bill and act as a central database with details of all ART clinics and banks in the country. The Committee on Health and Welfare is governed by Rules 268 to 277 of the Rules of Procedure and Conduct of Business in the Council of States. It is headed by Rajya Sabha MP Ram Gopal Yadav. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the Standing Committee on Water Resources held its meeting on Tuesday. The panel deliberated on matters like international water treaties, flood control, with particular reference to treaty agreement entered into with Nepal, China, Pakistan and Bhutan. Oral evidence of the representatives of the Ministry of Jal Shakti and the Ministry of External Affairs on flood management was also on the agenda. Well, the first session of the newly elected 17th Bihar Legislative Assembly will be convened from 23rd November. This was decided at the first meeting of the newly constituted State Cabinet on Tuesday. The session will conclude on the 27th of this month. Chief Minister Nitish Kumar chaired the Cabinet meeting. The Cabinet also authorized the Chief Minister to approve the draft of the Governor's speech that will be delivered during the joint sitting of both houses. Members of the newly constituted 17th Assembly will be administered oath during the session. The Speaker will also be elected during the session. All the other 14 ministers were present at the Cabinet meeting at the Chief Minister's Secretariat in Patna. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu on Tuesday said that the new education policy aims to make India a global knowledge superpower. He underscored the need for the nation to once again become a Vishwaguru in the field of education. Addressing the 13th convocation of National Institute of Technology, Agartala, the Vice President said that the NEP seeks to make Indian education holistic, multidisciplinary and practical.
The new educational policy underpinned by the same vision. It aims at making India a global knowledge superpower and seeks to bring a paradigm shift in the entire education system. Drawing inspiration from our ancient system, it seeks to make Indian education holistic, multidisciplinary, and practical.
Vice President Venkaiah Naidu said it was time for the universities, IITs, NITs and other higher education institutions to fully reorient their teaching methods and equip the teachers with new pedagogical skills in tune with the 21st century requirements.
The time has come for all the universities, IITs, NITs and other higher education institutions to fully reorient their teaching methods and equip the teachers with the new pedagogical skills in tune with the 21st century requirements. You have a lot of opportunities, there are a lot of challenges. So we must equip our younger generation to face these challenges confidently. At the same time, there is a need for our education institutions to take up cutting-edge research in various fields.
With about 65% of the country's population comprising youth, the Vice President called to fully channelize the energies of the youth while creating the right ecosystem to promote the spirit of entrepreneurship among them.
You need to fully channelize the energies of the youth and create the right ecosystem for promoting entrepreneurship among them. This is the time to tap the talents and skills for giving a fillip to vocal for local campaign. Institutions like NIT Agartala have to be at the forefront in turning youth into job creators, not just job seekers. I'm sure NIT Agartala is adapting to the new demands of society and industry. I'm very pleased to know that nearby villages have been adopted by the institute.
It's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Rabindranath Tagore was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1913 for his book Gitanjali. In 1950, he composed the music and lyrics for India's national anthem, Jana Gana Mana. And when Bangladesh became independent in 1971, they chose Tagore's song, Amar Shonar Bangla, as its national anthem. Tagore's life and works have made him a cultural icon, studied the world over, even into the 21st century.
Welcome back. You're watching News Tonight on Rajya Sabha Television. Well, time now to take a look at the novel coronavirus situation in the country. The daily case count has dropped to under 30,000 for the first time since 15th July, when India clocked 29,429 fresh infections. For the past 10 days in a row, the country has had less than 50,000 daily new cases. Here's more.
India registered the lowest number of daily COVID-19 cases in the last 4 months for the second straight day on Tuesday, with 29,163 fresh infections recorded in the last 24 hours. Daily new recoveries continued to outnumber new cases for the 45th day on Tuesday. 40,791 patients recovered in the last 24 hours, taking the recovery rate to 93.42%. Total recoveries have crossed 82.90 lakh. The active caseload stands at 4.53 lakh, comprising only 5.11% of total positive cases. In the last 24 hours, 449 people lost their lives to COVID-19, taking the overall fatalities to 1,30,519. Total cases have crossed 88.74 lakh. Delhi continues to report highest single-day increase in cases with 3,797 cases reported on Tuesday. West Bengal reported 3,012 new cases, while Kerala and Maharashtra reported over 2,500 new cases and Rajasthan reported over 2,100 cases. With over 6,500 recoveries, Kerala saw the highest number of recoveries in the same period. West Bengal registered 4,376 daily recoveries, while Delhi reported 3,560. Almost 58% of all COVID-related deaths were reported from Delhi, 99 deaths, Maharashtra, 60 deaths, West Bengal, 53 deaths, Chhattisgarh, 26 deaths, and Punjab, 22 deaths. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal on Tuesday sent a proposal to the central government seeking permission to impose lockdowns in market areas, which, he said, may emerge as COVID-19 hotspots. He appealed to the people of the city to wear masks and follow social distancing norms. According to the Health Ministry, both cases and deaths per million population in India is amongst the lowest in the world.
भारत विश्व के उन देशों में से है जहां बहुत ही कम केसेस प्रति मिलियन पॉपुलेशन हैं। 6,430 केस हैं प्रति मिलियन पॉपुलेशन, जबकि ऐसे भी देश हैं जहां ये संख्या 30,000 से ज़्यादा है। यदि हम मृत्यु को देखें तो हमारे देश में 94 प्रति मिलियन है, जो कि अभी भी विश्व के काफ़ी कम मृत्यु वाले देशों में से है। अनेक विकसित देश ऐसे हैं जहां ये 600, 700 और उससे भी ज़्यादा प्रति मिलियन पॉपुलेशन का है।
India has tested 12.65 crore samples so far, including 8.44 lakh samples tested on Monday. Tests have remained below 10 lakh for the last 4 days. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, India's Bharat Biotech has announced the start of its phase 3 trials for Covaxin. The company plans to enroll 26,000 participants for the first phase 3 efficacy study for a COVID-19 vaccine. It will be the largest efficacy trial ever conducted in India. The participants will be enrolled at 25 trial sites across the country in the coming months. Covaxin has so far been evaluated among 1,000 participants in phase 1 and 2 clinical trials. The company has reported that the results showed promising safety and immunogenicity data. Meanwhile, US-based biotechnology giant Moderna announced on Monday that its COVID-19 vaccine has shown 94.5% effectiveness in preventing the deadly disease. Moderna's announcement comes just a week after Pfizer and BioNTech said that the COVID-19 vaccine candidate was found more than 90% effective in preventing COVID-19 in participants. Well, moving on to other news now, the navies of India, the US, Australia and Japan on Tuesday began the second phase of the Malabar naval exercise in the northern Arabian Sea. The exercise involved 2 aircraft carriers and a number of frontline warships, submarines and maritime reconnaissance aircraft. The major highlight of the 4-day exercise is participation of the Indian Navy's Vikramaditya Carrier Battle Group and the Nimitz Strike Group of the US Navy. The USS Nimitz is the world's largest warship. The first phase of the Malabar exercise took place in the Bay of Bengal from November 3rd to the 6th. It featured many complex drills including anti-submarine and anti-air warfare operations. Well, Science and Technology Minister Dr. Harshvardhan on Tuesday inaugurated the Platinum Jubilee Foundation Day celebration of Central Institute of Mining and Fuel Research, Dhanbad. Addressing the gathering via video conferencing, he called for CIMFR to take up multidisciplinary research on mechanization and automation of mining activities using digital solutions. On the occasion, Dr. Harshvardhan also dedicated to the nation 3 indigenously developed technologies and facilities developed by CSIR, CIMFR, which will help India become Atmanirbhar in coal, energy and infrastructure sectors. Well, Union Minister Dr. Harshvardhan on Tuesday addressed the curtain raiser event of the 6th India International Science Festival via video conferencing. Addressing the event, he said that scientists have proven during this pandemic that science and technology are vital. He released an e-brochure and website of the Mega Science Festival in which over 1 lakh people from India and abroad will be participating. Theme for India International Science Festival is Science for Atmanirbhar Bharat and Global Welfare. IISF 2020 will be held from December 22nd to 25th with 40 curated events which will help bring science, technology, innovation, developments and link it to history, philosophy, arts and education.
विज्ञान को कैसे एक फेस्टिवल के रूप में, एक आंदोलन के रूप में देश में विकसित किया जाए, क्योंकि हमारे वैज्ञानिकों का भी यही मत है और यही प्रयास है कि विज्ञान के माध्यम से जनता की सब अनसुलझी समस्याओं का समाधान किया जाए। कोविड की महामारी के दौरान देश के वैज्ञानिकों ने ये सिद्ध करके दिखाया कि किसी भी तकलीफ को अपॉर्चुनिटी में कैसे परिवर्तित किया जा सकता है। और आपने सबने हमने देखा कि वैज्ञानिकों ने सब क्षेत्रों में हमारी कोविड से जुड़ी हुई समस्याओं का समाधान हमको करके दिखाया, जिसमें अंतिम क्षेत्र अभी वैक्सीन की खोज है।
Well, the All India Council for Technical Education on Tuesday launched the Leelavati Award to acknowledge efforts undertaken to empower women in the country. The award was launched by the Minister of Education, Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank, via a virtual conference. AICTE said that the awards are aimed to award the efforts taken in the field of women's development and create equality and fairness for women in all spheres of their lives. The award will be given to individuals and institutes affiliated with AICTE on their contribution in the area of women empowerment. The award will be given in sub-themes, namely women's health, literacy, self-defense, legal awareness, self-defense, and sanitation and hygiene. Well, with that, it's a wrap on this newscast. But before we leave, Rajya Sabha TV would like to appeal to all its viewers to stay safe from the COVID-19 pandemic and ensure that you wear a face mask whenever you step outside, wash your hands and face regularly, and maintain physical distancing of at least 6 feet. Remember that these simple precautions are all that it takes to defeat the pandemic.